Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. What did you think of today's episode of General Hospital Spoilers? If you missed it, you're in luck, because here is a recap. Stella Henry, Vernie Johnson, keeps her appointment at General Hospital to be proactive about having healthy kidneys. Lucas Jones, Van Hansis, takes her through a few really simple tests to make sure that she is okay. Speaking of proactive, that's what Felicia Scorpio, Christina Wagner, is doing with Sasha Corbin, Sophia Matson, when it comes to the baby that she is carrying. She has in the past tried to get Sasha to find out the father's medical history so that she has it for her child. Now, Felicia suggests that Sasha leave no loopholes anywhere with the father, and to get everything in writing. He has agreed to let Sasha raise the child alone now. But what if he changes his mind after the baby is born? Felicia strongly advised Sasha to solidify everything now so that there are no surprises later. After the two-part ways, Sasha calls Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, and leaves him a message saying that they need to talk. Isaiah Gannon, Sawandi Wilson, and Jordan Ashford, Tanisha Harper, have returned to her place after a 5-mile run, and she tells him about her chat with Ezra Boyle, Daniel Cosgrove, the day before. Jordan tells Isaiah that he suggested that she should distance herself from the mayor and her alliance with Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard. Ezra suggested that instead of backing Laura Collins, Jenny Francis, she should take a stiffer stance on organized crime and set herself up for a mayoral run of her own. Jordan admits that she thinks that Laura does have a blind spot when it comes to Sonny, and if they had just taken over his pier for the Esplanade, it would really have been the best location. She believes that if Sonny and Laura weren't friends, the outcome would have been much different. Jordan says that if she does become mayor in the future, there will be no room for Sonny in Port Charles. They are interrupted by a knock on the door, and it's Brick, Stephen A. Smith. He is back in town and was wondering if Jordan would join him for dinner. She tells him that she is seeing Isaiah, and Brick warns her about his family before leaving. Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, arrives home to find Brooke Lynn Quartermain, Amanda Seton, finishing up some work. She tells him about Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens, quitting earlier in the day and blaming it on his threats. Chase is unapologetic about threatening her, and says that he is tired of her running her big mouth. Del Q doesn't want him using his badge to threaten people, but Chase has no problem having done it to protect her. They remain united in working through this difficult situation together. Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, arrives at Charlie's to find Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson, waiting for her with a special dinner, chicken parm, straight from NYC. They reminisce about their first trip to the city a million years ago, and how Lucky slept on the floor of their hotel room. He tells Liz that he has booked a getaway to NYC for them, and it includes a stay at that same hotel. She tells him that this time, no one will be sleeping on the floor. Christina Corinthos, Kate Mansi, hasn't been on good terms with her sister, Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos, for a long time, and is shocked to find her at the door. Molly tells her that she is struggling and really would like to have her sister back again. The two aren't sure if they'll ever get along again, but they agree to try, beginning with takeout and movies. While they are talking, Ava Jerome, Maura West, arrives to drop off Avery for Sonny and has to deal with Christina instead. Ava half grills her about Sonny's health and wonders out loud how his illness could possibly affect their custody arrangement. Hell has officially frozen over in Port Charles because for the first time, maybe ever, Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, and Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, are actually on the same page. Deanne Miller, Carolyn Hennessy, arrived at the office to find Alexis on the floor trying to meditate. She explains that she has invited Rick over and wants to call a truce for their daughter's sake. Shortly thereafter, Rick arrives and immediately apologizes for provoking Alexis every chance that he gets. He wants to call a truce and to begin to be civil for Molly's sake. Alexis is stunned and readily agrees. Molly arrives to find them both acting strangely calm, and Alexis tells her that they have decided to be civil from now on. Molly is happy and also tells her mom about her visit with Christina. Rick leaves and heads straight to Ava's. As he is telling her the happy news about the truce, Christina starts pounding on the door and screaming at Ava that it's time to finish things. Sonny is in the middle of telling Jason about his run-in with Ava and how she was ready to watch him die when Brick knocks at the door. He has a solid lead on who firebombed Sonny's penthouse. It is a contracted killer named Soliski who is currently in Toronto. If they get to him, they can find out who hired him, and then they'll know for certain who wants Sonny dead. Jason wants to leave immediately alone, but Sonny insists that he is coming to Toronto with him. Port Charles was pulsing with secrets and smoldering with tension on the March 27 episode of General Hospital. As the fallout from the recent warehouse explosion continued to spread, old grudges were put to rest, at least for now, and dangerous truths began to surface. Rick Lansing and Alexis Davis, long entangled in a complicated past, surprised everyone by finding common ground. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos got closer than ever to uncovering the mastermind behind the devastating firebombing that rocked the docks and his organization. A truce forged in smoke and fire. At the courthouse, Rick Lansing, Rick Hurst, sat alone in the quiet of his chambers, staring at the charred remains of a legal file that had been recovered from the debris of the Davis law offices. The fire had ravaged more than just buildings. It had reignited buried resentment and fractured already fragile alliances. Enter Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, who pushed open Rick's door without knocking. Her presence carried the residual smoke of destruction, but also a glimmer of resolve. The tension between them, always a cocktail of intellect, bitterness, and undeniable chemistry, crackled like the flames that had consumed her office. "You have a moment?" she asked, her voice tired but sharp-edged. Rick didn't look up. "Depends. Are we here to trade barbs or build bridges?" Alexis set her briefcase down with more force than necessary. "Neither. I came to offer a truce. I think we've both had enough of trying to destroy each other." Rick finally looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "A truce? That's not your usual play." "Alexis, no," she admitted. "But these aren't usual times. My office is gone. My paralegal's in the ICU. And if you're honest, even you have to admit this fire crossed a line." He leaned back in his chair, considering her words. "You think this was about you? I think it was about all of us," he said. "Sonny, me. You. Everyone who's tangled in the underworld in one way or another." Rick sighed and rubbed his temples. "You think I had something to do with the fire?" Alexis narrowed her eyes. "I don't. Not anymore. I did it first, old habits. But now, I think we're both standing in the middle of something bigger, which is why I'm extending this truce. Pool our resources. Work together to figure out who's behind this." There was a long pause. Then Rick stood and extended his hand. "Fine. A truce." Alexis shook it. "Good. Let's find the bastard who did this before they light the next match." Sonny's lead. A voice from the shadows. Meanwhile, at Pozzulo's, Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, stood at the center of his dimly lit back office, arms crossed as he watched Dex, even Hofer, pin red markers onto a map of Port Charles. Each pin represented a location tied to the recent firebombings. The warehouse, Davis Law, the Corinthos Coffee Dockside Facility. The pattern wasn't random, and Sonny knew it. 3 hits in 2 weeks, Sonny muttered. "This isn't a message. It's a war." Dex nodded. "And whoever's behind it knows exactly where to hurt you." That's when Brick, Stephen A. Smith, burst in, holding his phone up triumphantly. "Got something?" Sonny raised an eyebrow. "Talk to me." Brick tossed the phone onto the table and tapped the screen. A blurry security cam still appeared. The image showed a figure in a dark hoodie, setting a small device on the loading dock before disappearing into the shadows. "One of my contacts cleaned up the feed from the warehouse." "The device the guy's planting? That's a military-grade incendiary, not your average street thug's toy." Sonny stared at the image. "Who has access to that kind of firepower?" Brick hesitated. "That's the problem. This kind of thing doesn't just fall off the back of a truck. It's black market, possibly ex-military." Dex frowned. "You thinking it's someone with connections to Pikeman?" Sonny's jaw clenched. Pikeman Security Group. The name alone sent a chill through his veins. They had their hands in a lot of shadows lately, and the timing was too perfect. I'm thinking they either did it, or they're selling to someone who did, Sonny said. Either way, they know who we're looking for, Brick nodded. Want me to set up a meet? Sonny shook his head. Not yet. We go too hard, too fast, and we tip our hand. We wait. Watch. Let them think we're backing off. Dex looked skeptical. And if they strike again? Sonny's voice was ice cold. Then we make sure it's the last thing they ever do. Sparks and strategy at GH. Elsewhere in General Hospital, Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, sat at her sister Molly's bedside, holding her hand. The fire had shaken them both, especially knowing how close Molly came to being in that office when it went up in flames. I keep thinking about what could have happened, Christina whispered. About how I could have lost you. Molly stirred slightly, groggy from pain medication but conscious. You didn't, she murmured. But someone wanted to scare us, or worse. Christina's expression darkened. And we're going to find out who. In the hallway, Sam McCall, Kelly Monaco, was already working on that. On the phone with Spinelli, she was piecing together digital breadcrumbs, hoping to trace the fire starter through any online or phone activity. I don't care if it's encrypted, she said firmly. Break through it. Whoever this is, they nearly killed my sister. At that moment, she nearly collided with Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, who was rushing toward the ITUI. Just got off a call, Dante said. The fire marshal's preliminary report came in. There was an accelerant used, petroleum-based, commercial grade. Same kind used in the Davis Law fire and the warehouse. They're connecting the dots too. Sam's eyes narrowed. Then they'll find out what we already know. This isn't random. Dante nodded. No, this is personal. The plot thickens. Back at the courthouse, Rick and Alexis were already hard at work, combing through case files, cross-referencing names, and looking for enemies they might have in common. Anyone stand out? Rick asked. Alexis pursed her lips. Besides the obvious, Sonny's enemies, the mob families, there's one name that keeps popping up. Cole Radcliffe. Remember him? Rick's brow furrowed. The arms dealer from Miami. Alexis nodded. Sonny took down one of his shipments years ago. I prosecuted the surviving men. You defended one of them, if I recall correctly. Rick smirked. So, if Radcliffe wanted revenge, he'd want us both to burn, Alexis finished. They shared a look, equal parts dread and determination. We need proof, Rick said. Alexis stood. Then let's go get it. Final scenes, fire still burns. The episode closed on 3 simultaneous shots, a classic Port Charles crescendo. At General Hospital, Christina stepped out of Molly's room and took a call from an unknown number. Her face turned pale as a distorted voice whispered, "This is just the beginning." At Pazzulo's, Sonny stood alone, staring at the charred photo of his family that had survived the warehouse fire. In his other hand, he clutched the flash drive Brick had given him, containing footage of the fire starter's escape route, which led, not away from the docks but toward the city. And on a quiet street corner, a figure in a hoodie handed a burner phone to someone in a black SUV. The driver, a woman with red lips, a cold stare, and a very familiar face, Claudia Zaccara, or someone who looked exactly like her. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our GH News 24 YouTube channel for more update news.